I'm here with Ron Bippus, an expert horary astrologer and teacher. Ron teaches in the general Toronto area, and he's here with thespiritconnect.com, and has been studying astrology for over 30 years, as well as horary astrology. So, Ron, first of all, I want to thank you for your time, but maybe you can fill in some of our viewers as to what exactly is horary astrology for those who don't know.
Horary astrology is an analysis of a chart of the time of a question, and this analysis proceeds very much the same way as it does in natal astrology. So it'll answer your question based on a chart for the time of that question.
So it doesn't require the date of birth and time of birth?
I don't care about the date of birth. It's not connected to anything natal.
Okay. Now, I've heard that horary astrology was the predominant form of astrology in classical times, such as the medieval times. Is that correct?
Yes, it was. It was developed by the Arabian astrologers about 500 AD and persisted well into recent times, until about 1700.
And why was it so popular during that time?
It answered a lot of questions that couldn't be answered any other way. Most people didn't have clocks, therefore didn't know what time or day they were born, and they were lucky to know even the year they were born, so natal astrology was generally not feasible. This allowed the astrologer to still practice as art without ever having to look at a natal chart.
So what got you into horary astrology?
Well, I learned natal astrology the same as everyone else and was dissatisfied with the answers I was getting. They did not seem to agree with the person in front of me, so I decided, well, there's enough to astrology for me to pursue things further, and then I started studying horary astrology, and that certainly improved my knowledge of astrology in general.
So what were some of those disagreements that you had with natal astrology?
Well, the modern natal astrology has house meanings or rulerships that are very different from classical astrology. All of modern astrology is based on the work of Alan Leo, who started learning astrology about 1880. So everything before that time is consistent, it hangs together, it's all of part of the same system. Everything after that is based solely on his information.
Who is Alan Leo, for those who don't know?
He's a British astrologer, born 1860, started studying astrology in 1880. He was writing magazine articles by 1885. By 1890, wrote astrology books. He wrote about 125 books in all.
And why would he make changes to the classical system of astrology?
Well, he found the classical system horrendously difficult to learn. To make it easier, he simplified everything, but unfortunately, that really detracted from its utility. It just didn't work as well anymore. So
you're basically saying that, to make it easier and more digestible to the common person, he changed the system.
That's right. He changed he came up with the system of the alphabetical zodiac. So planet equals sign equals house. The first house and planet Mars and the sign Aries all hang together, and they have a common meaning. But that while some of the meanings are reasonable to assume, others are totally totally against what's known in reality.
And that was known as the natural system assigning?
Well, it's a natural rulership system. For instance, Venus ruling the 7th house because it's supposed it rules love, but 7th house is a lot more than love and marriage, and therefore that idea just doesn't work out.
So I know a lot of modern astrologers really lean on the natural house rulership. So basically what you're saying is that it's not as strong as it's been supported to be by many. Would that be correct?
That would be correct, yes. You have to really look at statistical analysis to get a better idea of how well it works.
Okay. Now, what was it that, what does it take to develop a basic proficiency in horary? How much time can one expect to put into it?
Well, first of all, you have to take a course, whether it's in class or otherwise, and then apply it on a daily basis. I ask myself at least 3 or 4 questions every day. anything as simple as today, I went on a biking trip with some friends. Someone was late. I asked the question, is he going to show up? And he asked the chart for the moment of time said he would show up. It was 2 degrees from the planet in question, was 2 degrees from the ascendant, so I said either 2 minutes or possibly the amount of time taken for the ascendant to hit that planet. And so it was, he showed up about 6 minutes. So it's useful for anything. You could ask yourself several questions like that every day, and it's very good practice.
So if I'm hearing this correctly, you're saying that horary astrology or astrology in general is no different from any other art or any other practice where it just requires, regular discipline and practice.
It requires regular practice. If you profess to be a mechanic and worked on only one car a year, you would not consider yourself to be very proficient, or would not expect to be proficient. The same is true of astrology. If you do one chart a month or answer one horary question a month, no, you can't get proficiency that way.
Interesting. So it's as magical as astrology is, and exotic as it is, it has a very mundane way of learning it, which is essentially practice. So what makes horary so effective compared to other methods of astrology?
Horary is quite complex. The ancients built up many rules to analyze a chart. Alan decided to dispense with those rules. Unfortunately, when you dispense the analysis techniques, you also simplify the answers, and simply doesn't answer the questions anymore.
And what is an example of some of these rules that are not available in the modern system?
Well, the ancients had a philosophy or a system where the things of a similar nature belong in the same house. Sex and children go together because you have to have one. And therefore, sex and children and the classical system both belong in the 5th house. In the modern system, sex is assigned to the 8th house of death, and that doesn't seem to be very logical.
Okay. And why isn't horary astrology, if it's so effective, being taught more so today?
It's not being learned or studied as much because it is complex, it is challenging, and people simply don't want to put in the time. They want something quick and easy, something to do as a hobby once or twice a month, and under that kind of condition, you can't really get proficient.